streets during school hours.
And a surprising development involving a sheriff accused of having sex with inmates.
Tonight on Channel 4 News at 6.
On our broadcast tonight from the GOP convention in St. Paul, in the spotlight, Alaska Governor Sarah Palin steps up to the podium, the first woman on a GOP ticket, one of the most anticipated political speeches in recent memory. Homeward bound, 2 million evacuees who fled Hurricane Gustav now start making their way home. What will they find when they get there? Also tonight, the next hurricane out there. Young Republicans talking with the new guard here in St. Paul, why they're for John McCain and what's important to them. And what works, giving military families in this country one less thing to worry about while loved ones are away. Nightly News begins now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
And good evening from the GOP convention in St. Paul. Mother Nature tossed this gathering a curveball when a hurricane made landfall at one end of the Mississippi, just as this party was gathering at the northern end. John McCain had already tossed his party a curve with his VP pick, the governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin. Tonight we hear from her. All day long, this party has tossed out accusations that the coverage is somehow sexist, elitist, old school, wrongly judging the first female GOP vice presidential nominee who is decidedly not a part of the so-called old boy political network. It has generated what John McCain wanted, interest, excitement, debate, in a race where the trick is, of course, at the end of all of this in November to convert it to votes. And so we begin our coverage of this convention with NBC's Andrea Mitchell, who's here with us tonight. Andrea.
Good evening, Brian. Well, as Sarah Palin prepared to introduce herself to America, the McCain campaign went on the attack today against the media for its coverage of the vice presidential nominee. The Palins and the McCains, two families now joined together as John McCain arrived in the convention city. On hand, all the children, including 17-year-old Bristol Palin and her boyfriend, Levi Johnston. A top McCain aide tells NBC News when McCain went over to the young couple, he told Bristol he is sorry for the media exposure she's experiencing because of her pregnancy and told them they'd get through it. The media glare is white hot as Sarah Palin tested the stage where she will give the speech of her life. Unlike most vice presidential candidates, Palin has been secluded for days as experts, including Joe Lieberman, briefed her on foreign and domestic policy. And Laura Bush and Cindy McCain offered pointers in handling the barrage of publicity. The campaign says its goal for her tonight, portray herself as a reformer ready to fight big government and an energy expert. She will not attack Barack Obama, leaving that to others. An aide told the Washington Post an early draft written before the nominee was chosen was altered to make the speech less masculine. After playing defense for days, the campaign went on offense with a new ad.
He gave Big Oil billions in subsidies and giveaways.
She's earned a reputation as a reformer.
And accused the media of sexism, a theme the First Lady sounded with Brian Williams last night.
No one would be talking about a man's children and how many children they had or any other thing about their children. So I think it's really important that we treat Sarah Palin the same way.
Echoed by surrogates all day.
The questions she's been asked, you should find totally offensive. Questions like, can you be a mother and a vice president? Do they ever ask Barack Obama, can you be a father?
What about questions about whether you have...
The campaign even hopes that the coverage, which a top aide calls disgusting, will create a backlash of female support for the party's first woman candidate. But during the Democratic primaries, Palin called Hillary Clinton's complaints about her coverage a perceived whine. Brian?
You'll be on the floor for all of it tonight. Andrea Mitchell, who'll be here with us. Thanks. One of the themes the McCain campaign is pushing when it comes to Governor Palin is ethics. But back home, she's involved, as you may have heard, in an ethics investigation over her firing of a state official in Alaska. Palin's advisors say the investigation is political. This all stems from a messy divorce and a custody battle between Palin's sister and brother-in-law, a state trooper. We get some background on this story tonight from our senior investigative correspondent, Lisa Myers.
The key question, did Governor Palin abuse the power of her office to settle a personal score? The state legislature is now investigating. Since Palin's thrust onto the national stage, she has challenged the jurisdiction of that investigation, which today led a key witness to postpone his testimony. The controversy erupted in July when Commissioner of Public Safety Walter Monaghan claimed Palin fired him because he didn't fire this man, State Trooper Mike Wooten, Palin's former brother-in-law. The governor insists Monaghan was fired for policy differences.
Commissioner Monaghan was not terminated because of concerns about Trooper Wooten.
Since 2005, before she became governor, Palin and her family have filed complaints against Wooten, who threatened his father-in-law would eat an expletive bullet. A judge filed a protective order against Wooten after his wife complained of violent threats. Former Commissioner Monaghan says neither Governor Palin nor anyone else ever specifically told him to fire Trooper Wooten. But in a phone interview, he says there was pressure.
There were numerous contacts by the governor, her husband, by her staff, that basically said that Trooper Wooten was not an acceptable example of an Alaska State Trooper.
Governor Palin initially denied there had been any pressure from anyone, but she recently acknowledged 24 contacts, including a call from a staffer who appeared to be speaking for Palin and her husband.
Todd and Sarah are scratching their heads, why on earth why is this guy still representing the department?
Palin said she did not authorize the call.
The serial nature of the contacts understandably could be perceived as some kind of pressure, presumably at my direction.
Palin insists that she has done nothing improper and says the contacts were largely because the trooper continued to harass and threaten her family as recently as this summer. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Washington.
Okay, so that's the political backdrop. Let's go to another one. Weather has already shortened this convention, and tonight we're forced again to keep an eye on the Atlantic and some big approaching storms. First up, Hannah. Now over the Bahamas, sustained winds 60 miles an hour right now. Could hit the Carolina coastline by Friday as a hurricane, but look at the route of this storm already. Try predicting it. It could then scoot up the eastern seaboard. Next is Ike, which was officially declared a hurricane this afternoon. Still out in the Atlantic Basin, headed west, expected to strengthen as the week goes on. And then Josephine, behind them both in the far eastern Atlantic, still a long way away, but already officially a tropical storm. What remains of Hurricane Gustav brought rain to the upper Mississippi Valley today, lots of it. But the 2 million people in the Gulf Coast region who evacuated ahead of landfall were allowed to go home today, importantly, not a moment too soon for any of them. Our report from NBC's Mark Potter in New Orleans.
The road to New Orleans is wide open again, and residents are streaming home, a day earlier than officials had hoped. Randy Hamilton and his family came back to the Upper Ninth Ward this morning, tired of sharing a hotel room in Mississippi and unwilling to spend 1 cent more to be away.
We spent over $400 that I didn't have.
New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin said he reluctantly allowed residents back today because neighboring parishes had already done so. But with work crews still trying to restore power to tens of thousands of homes, officials warned residents to be careful.
Now's not the time to put yourself in jeopardy or lose your life because you're not handling your generator properly or because you're not being careful in returning.
In Baton Rouge today, President Bush agreed with the governor that power outages are the biggest problem.
They got to get electricity up here in Louisiana, get moving as fast as possible.
Sonia Saman returned home to find a broken water pipe.
This room is flooded. This one flooded.
And says next time she'll be hesitant to evacuate. But Gary Thayol, who also returned today, will leave again if ordered. The price, he says, of living in New Orleans, especially after Hurricane Katrina.
Now tonight, many of the assisted evacuees will also be coming home by plane and by bus. Brian?
Mark Potter on Canal Street in New Orleans, where we were with him just 2 nights ago. Mark, thanks. And there's a third backdrop, really, to this gathering, and it's news from overseas. Specifically, word tonight, U.S.-led forces based in Afghanistan have staged their first known cross-border raid into Pakistan, into a tribal region thought to be a haven for al-Qaeda. Dozens of troops ferried by 4 helicopters landed in South Waziristan, attacking several houses, reportedly killing more than a dozen people. Pakistan called the raid, quote, a grave provocation. The Bush administration today announced plans to provide $1 billion in aid to the nation of Georgia to help that country rebuild after its battle with Russia last month. Vice President Cheney, who notably will not attend the GOP convention, will travel to Georgia Thursday. Today he paid a visit to another former Soviet republic and current U.S. ally, oil-rich Azerbaijan. The vice president will meet with leaders in Ukraine later this week. All these foreign policy issues will, of course, be inherited by whoever wins the big prize this fall. And joining us now to talk about what lies ahead, Richard Haass, president of the Council on Foreign Relations in New York. Richard, as I always point out, you're a veteran of 4 White Houses, 2 of them named Bush, but you've certainly advised members of both parties, and I always ask you the same question. Give me the quick 3 on your list of places that keep you up at night.
2 of them you mentioned. One is Pakistan, a government that's unable and unwilling at times to deal with the war on terrorism with several dozen nuclear weapons. Iran, which wants to get into the nuclear business, has clearly emerged as a great strategic threat in the Middle East. And a resurgent Russia, already moved against Georgia, possibly in the future move against Ukraine.
It's important to talk about, we get in this bubble. We came out of New Orleans and into St. Paul, and our coverage is dominated by these events, but foreign affairs don't stop while we're here. Which of those do you worry about in a handoff period, getting lost in the shuffle despite the foreign policy professionals who are kind of a permanent part of government?
All 3 worry me, and probably in the handoff most Pakistan, because you've got, again, this country with a large nuclear arsenal that really seems unwilling to do what it needs to do. But I'll be honest, Brian, I'm really more concerned over time about such things as American energy policy. The fact that right now we're leaving ourselves vulnerable, the dollar's weaker as a result of it. We're funneling billions of dollars to some of these same enemies in the world that are causing us so much trouble. So I think the new president is going to have to sort out what's urgent, but also what's underlying important. And he's going to have to do all this at a time the United States is stretched economically, militarily, diplomatically. I really don't think in the 200-plus years of American political history you can find more than maybe 2 or 3 other presidents who are going to face such a difficult situation as either John McCain or Barack Obama.
Sobering assessment of our world. Richard, always a pleasure to see you.
Thanks,
Richard Haass of the Council in New York. We'll take a break when Nightly News continues this Wednesday evening. The youth vote here in St. Paul, talking to the young people who are passionately behind this ticket of McCain-Palin, and later helping the families of service members deployed overseas take care of an everyday chore. It's an example of what works.
Describe the 2 soups, please.
MSG, sodium stearoyl lactylate.
And the next one.
Spinach, grown on a south-facing slope. Natural sea salt. Northern waters, if I'm not mistaken.
Unlike Progresso soups, new Campbell's Select Harvest soups never contain artificial flavor or MSG, just real ingredients, real taste.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I always thought calcium and vitamin D and exercise would keep my bones healthy. But I got osteoporosis anyway, so my doctor started me on once-monthly Boniva. And he told me something important. Boniva works with your body to help stop and reverse bone loss. My test results proved I was able to stop and reverse my bone loss with Boniva. And studies show after 1 year on Boniva, 9 out of 10 women did too.
Don't take Boniva if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or can't sit or stand for at least 1 hour. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Boniva and tell your doctor if you have difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. If severe bone, joint, and or muscle pain develops, tell your doctor.
I've got this one body and this one life, so I wanted to stop my bone loss. But I did more than that. I reversed it with Boniva. Ask your doctor if Boniva is right for you.
Boniva, help stop and reverse bone loss.
For fast heartburn relief, Sarah and Amy do things very differently. Amy chews just 1 Pepcid Complete. Sarah chews a few Tums. And when heartburn returns, a few more. But Amy's one Pepsid Complete starts to neutralize acid in seconds and keeps working all night. So while Sarah may have to take Tums again, Amy puts her heartburn to rest with Pepsid Complete. Chew one and heartburn's done.
From NBC News, the Republican convention continues. Join Brian Williams, Tom Brokaw, and Ann Curry tonight at 10 Eastern on NBC.
We're back here in St. Paul tonight with a look at that elusive political prize called the youth vote. We've said it before, every election cycle it seems, one expert or another tells us this is going to be the year the young voters will actually come out, go to the polls, make a big difference, or even decide the election. Well, guess what? A lot of those experts are saying this, in fact, might be the year, and the Republicans are hoping to turn that to their advantage. Our report from NBC's Maria Menounos.
We are on a roll. It's obvious that the youth has had quite an impact on this election, Democrats and Republicans.
Young Republican activists like Brian Smith say they are not giving up the fight for young voters who thus far have been crucial to Barack Obama's success.
What we find important, individual liberty, national security, limited government, are still going to be the same, but the approach is going to be different.
Ross Douthat and Rayhan Salam, both 28, agree. They're among the youngest thinkers looking for that new approach to the grand old party, saying the old Republican message doesn't work today.
We can make government more responsive. We want you to have ownership of government.
Looking to recast the GOP message in new terms, these young Republicans want to secure the working class and pivotal new voters by focusing on kitchen table issues like tax breaks for young families as opposed to handouts, arguing government spending is okay as long as it's productive.
Conservative politicians have to readjust and move to address the challenges facing America today. If the Republican Party doesn't wise up and start talking about those issues that matter urgently now to young families, they're going to be extinct.
You control the audience. Clark Reed, a longtime Southern Republican activist, knows a little about reinvention. In the 60s, he was there through the GOP resurgence in the South, selling conservative principles amidst racial turmoil.
Do you feel that there's a need for that kind of reform?
Always reform. We got out of hand with our spending, our true beliefs.
Reed, now 80, advises young Republicans to stay focused.
Hang in. Take the long view. That's hard things for young people to do.
But this supporter thinks McCain needs to be the one to lead the reform now.
We want him to win, but you know the change is in the air.
Brian, some young Republicans want significant reforms while others would settle for tweaks. Now, a lot of the young delegates I've spoken to here and that we've collectively spoken to have said that John McCain has gone a long way in re-energizing them with the addition of Governor Sarah Palin to the ticket.
And if we report on it enough, it becomes a challenge to both parties to get out that vote. Maria, thanks for your reporting from this convention floor. We'll take a break here in St. Paul. We're back in a moment with a visit to the small Alaska town that Sarah Palin calls home.
During endless shrimp at Red Lobster, you can have something decadent with something crunchy, then something creamy, then something new. Like shrimp in a spicy Cajun butter sauce. And after that, you can do it all again. It's endless shrimp. Indulge in endless choices of your favorite shrimp dishes. While the shrimp are endless, this offer isn't. Come in now for the best value of the year at Red Lobster.
Food scientists have spent years with their beakers and flasks and chemistry sets trying to come up with something as good for you as Florida orange juice. But they've never come close. Start your day with almost 25% of your daily recommended fruit and vegetable servings in one 8-ounce glass. It's a miracle in every way. Florida orange juice. Healthy, pure and simple.
For people with diabetes, simple steps can make it a whole new day. Start your day with delicious Glucerna cereals. They help minimize blood sugar spikes, which can help lower A1C levels. Glucerna, smart nutrition for people with diabetes.
Did you know America uses 25% of the world's oil, but only has 3% of the world's oil reserves? And the big debate in Washington now is whether or not to drill. I say drill, drill, drill. But the debate misses the point. Either way, we'll still be dependent on foreign oil and on the way to the largest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind. My plan starts with wind. That's half the answer. We need renewable fuels for transportation, but the technology's not there yet. We need a bridge. Step 2 of my plan begins to replace foreign oil with American natural gas for cars and trucks. It's cleaner, it's cheaper, it's abundant, and it's ours. It buys us one thing money can't buy: time. Time to develop the renewable fuels that will break our dependency on foreign oil. I'm T. Boone Pickens. Join with me and we'll take back our energy future.
Gas relief products come in 2 types. Those you take after food gives you gas, bloating, discomfort, embarrassment, and it ruins your life. Or take Beano. Tough call. Take Beano before, and they'll Beano gas. Now, prevent gas anywhere with new Beano to go.
Back here at the GOP convention, tonight's speech by Sarah Palin here in St. Paul will be her primetime introduction to an American public eager to know more about her. Her last job before her current job of Alaska governor was the mayor of the town of Wasilla, Alaska. NBC's John Larson is there tonight. John, I'm guessing there could be a local brownout with all the televisions tuning in to see her national television debut this evening.
You better believe it. You know, people here keep reminding me that we're supposed to tell you that everybody's got to start somewhere. But in Sarah Palin's case, somewhere is a very, very small town.
Okay, Sarah Rocks the Vote 2008.
Just how small is Wasilla? Just 7,000 people, 10 downtown traffic lights, and a city hall one Democratic pundit said looks like a bait shop in Louisiana. With just one high school, 21 police officers, Wasilla is half the population of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, half the size of the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. How big was Palin's job as mayor? Well, Palin herself said it's not rocket science. It's $6 million and 53 employees. Yet Palin rose here with energy and some controversy. Soon after taking office, the Christian conservative asked the local librarian how to remove books considered offensive and threatened to fire her when she balked.
There was a huge outcry.
Palin later said her question had been rhetorical. Soon she gained favor, cutting local property taxes, expanding city services, and building a sports complex.
The Wasilla Sports Complex was a major accomplishment.
A complex loved by many, but still running in the red despite Palin's promise it wouldn't. Nonetheless, the area grew, and so did government spending and the city's debt. Palin was able to cut property taxes because the previous administration had increased the sales tax. Resident Ann Kilkenny has been both a registered Republican, Democrat, and a critic of Palin's.
She cut taxes for the corporations, that's for sure. But for the residents, because property taxes were replaced by sales taxes, the tax burden generally went up.
Her stunning rise to the governor's mansion was accomplished by an almost clairvoyant sense of what voters wanted. Serendipity, some call it here. She attacked Republican leadership on ethics violations and took on the oil companies with higher taxes.
Now, everybody here very proud of her. Well, most people here are very proud of her. But no one expected that the road to the White House might start right here on what's known locally as just the road to Fairbanks.
John Larson, who didn't know a week ago tonight he'd be in Wasilla, Alaska for us tonight. John, thanks. We'll take a break. More from this convention in St. Paul right after this.
Nasal allergy symptoms like congestion can occur at any time, and it's hard to avoid the things that cause them. Prescription Nasonex helps relieve nasal allergy symptoms, like congestion. Maybe that's why 6 million nasal allergy sufferers used Nasonex last year.
Side effects were generally mild and included headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing.
For more information, talk to your doctor and ask if Nasonex is the one for you.
For fast heartburn relief, Sarah and Amy do things very differently. Amy chews just one Pepcid Complete. Sarah chews a few Tums. And when heartburn returns, a few more. But Amy's one Pepcid Complete starts to neutralize acid in seconds and keeps working all night. So while Sarah may have to take Tums again, Amy puts her heartburn to rest with Pepcid Complete. Chew one and heartburn's done.
Want to know a secret? Some grown-ups
don't eat all their vegetables. Some adults don't start their day with breakfast. And there are even some otherwise intelligent people who don't always eat right. For all of you, there's Ensure, complete balanced nutrition shakes loaded with food, energy, and 24 vitamins and minerals. So even if you don't always eat right, you can still eat smart. Drink Ensure in 5 irresistible flavors. It's nutrition for a healthier you.
Talk about a wake-up call. I had a heart attack at 57. My doctor told me I should have been doing more for my high cholesterol. What was I thinking? But now, I trust my heart to Lipitor.
When diet and exercise are not enough, adding Lipitor may help. Unlike some other cholesterol-lowering medications, Lipitor is FDA approved to reduce the risk of heart attack, stroke, and certain kinds of heart surgeries if you have several common risk factors or heart disease. Lipitor has been extensively studied with over 16 years of research. Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. You need simple blood tests to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor if you are taking other medications or if you have any muscle pain or weakness. This may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect.
I learned the hard way, but you may be able to do something.
Have a heart-to-heart with your doctor about your risk and about Lipitor.
If something was getting done, my son would not be laying in a hospital bed in the intensive care unit.
Coming up at 6, a mother lashes out after her son suffered a drug overdose during school hours.
And a surprising development involving a sheriff accused of having sex with inmates.
Tonight on Channel 4 News at 6. What works? Brought to you by Lipitor.
We're back. A big theme of this GOP gathering is service. And as we look at what works tonight, one organization that has found a way to give families of U.S. service members one less thing to worry about. Our report from NBC's Michelle Franzen.
In Bloomington, Minnesota, Ann Colburn teaches 15-year-old daughter Allie how to drive.
Foot on the brake. Which was the brake again?
One of the many duties she takes on alone while husband Patrick serves in Iraq. From big family moments to the smallest of chores at home, including yard work.
This is our backyard.
Ann finds sometimes she just can't do it all.
It's a very challenging yard to mow and to take care of, and it was just more than I could really handle.
Now she has help. A nationwide program called Green Care for Troops matches volunteers with military families who need help in the yard. Steve Hartwig mows the Colburn yard for free, a way, he says, to give back to the troops.
They're making a sacrifice 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If I can do something for an hour or two a week, that's small in comparison.
A small gesture that goes a long way.
It means a lot to us.
In 3 years, Green Care for Troops has grown into a network of 1,600 volunteers helping 6,000 military families. The motto, serving them while they serve us.
The backbone of our soldiers are our military families at home. Without their care, their support, their love, our soldiers have a very difficult time in doing their jobs for us.
In Queens, new mom Camille Torona and 6-month-old son Brandon are adjusting to her husband's recent deployment to Iraq.
It's tough, you know. I'm pretty much a single parent for a year.
In a matter of hours, volunteers from a local landscaping company turned her overgrown yard and garden into a showcase. Details Camille shared long distance with her husband Juan.
Who's on? Yeah, my husband. He said that he really appreciated it. So.
You don't have to worry about anything.
A support system for Camille and Ann.
I hope Daddy calls today.
Taking root while their families are apart. Michelle Franzen, NBC News, Bloomington, Minnesota.
That's our Wednesday broadcast. Thank you for being with us. An extraordinary night here at this convention. Here ahead, as the only in America story of Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska will be on display. We're back on the air tonight, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. We'll have live coverage of her speech, her story, and more. For now, from St. Paul, good night.
This is Channel 4 News, working for you.
Good evening again, everyone. Welcome to Channel 4 News at 6.
A high school student was found unconscious in a classroom today with words written all over his face in marker. Police say it was an apparent overdose of a substance called BOD, a hallucinogenic that uses some of the same chemicals found in golf balls and solvents in the printing industry. Wherever it came from, the student's mother says the school is not doing enough to keep drug dealers out. Channel 4's Dennis Ferrier with the story.